The Kansas City Chiefs recently concluded the 2025 season with a final record of 6-11, a result that shocked the league and marked the first time the franchise has missed the postseason since 2014. This disappointing finish ended a 10-year playoff streak and a dominant run of 9 consecutive AFC West Division titles, signaling a potential shift in the conference hierarchy. At the center of this struggle is Patrick Mahomes, who is currently 30 years old and navigating an intensive rehabilitation process after suffering a torn ACL and LCL in Week 15 of the previous season. To manage the massive financial burden of his contract during this transition, the Chiefs' front office restructured his deal in February 2026, converting $54.45 million of his salary and roster bonus into a signing bonus. This strategic maneuver successfully reduced his 2026 cap hit from a staggering $78.2 million down to a more manageable $34.65 million, though it pushed his projected 2027 cap hit to an unprecedented $85.25 million. Adding to the team's offensive concerns is the status of Travis Kelce. Now 36 years old, Kelce enters the twilight of a legendary career where he has already secured the record for the most receiving touchdowns in Chiefs history, with 77. Despite recording 984 receiving yards on 93 receptions during the 2025 season, there are visible signs of decline in his mobility and speed. These struggles were highlighted by several uncharacteristic drops, including a high-profile mistake against the Houston Texans that proved costly in a tight contest. On his New Heights podcast, Kelce has been candid about his frustrations, reflecting a growing sense of urgency within a roster that has long been considered the gold standard of the NFL. The partnership between Mahomes and Kelce remains historic, with 54 touchdown connections to date, but the window for this duo to secure another championship is arguably narrower than ever. On the 7th of April, 2026, a massive development shook the league's landscape when ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that New York Giants All-Pro defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade. Following 2 consecutive off-seasons of failed contract negotiations, Lawrence has made it clear he will not participate in the Giants' upcoming off-season workout program. Schefter stated, Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade, and he will not be participating in the team's off-season workout program. Currently, Lawrence ranks as the 11th highest paid defensive tackle in the league, a position that many analysts believe does not reflect his true impact on the field. Under his existing contract, which runs through 2027, he is set to earn a $20 million cash payout in 2026. But the deal notably lacks any remaining guaranteed money for its final 2 years. This lack of security, combined with a market for defensive tackles that has skyrocketed since his 2023 extension, has led to a complete breakdown in his relationship with the Giants. Lawrence's career statistics paint the picture of an elite interior force. 310 tackles, 30 sacks, 95 quarterback hits, and 36 tackles for loss. At 6'4" and 342 pounds, he is a rare game wrecker capable of collapsing the pocket from the inside and forcing consistent double teams. For the Kansas City Chiefs, who saw their defense rank 6th in 2025 but struggled with a pass rush described by Sky Sports as generally poor, the availability of such a player is a potential turning point. The Chiefs have recently lost key defensive contributors, including George Karlaftis, and have seen their secondary depth thinned by the departures of Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie, Chiefs Kingdom. Listen up. We are 13 days away from the 2026 NFL Draft, and the league just caught fire while the team holds the 29th overall pick in the upcoming draft. The opportunity to acquire a proven all-pro like Lawrence could outweigh the benefits of drafting an unproven rookie. The 2026 NFL Draft is scheduled to begin on the 20th of April 2026, meaning the Chiefs have less than 2 weeks to coordinate a move. Adam Schefter just confirmed it. Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade from the Giants. This news has set the Chiefs fan base ablaze with the possibility of a nightmare scenario for the rest of the AFC. Today, we're breaking down the nightmare scenario. Mahomes, Kelce, and Lawrence on the same roster. Pairing Lawrence with Chris Jones, who has remained a consistent all-pro performer, would create perhaps the most feared interior defensive line in NFL history. If you put Lawrence next to Jones, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to score 40 points a game anymore. Such a tandem would effectively neutralize divisional rivals like the Los Angeles Chargers, who finished first in the AFC West last season with an 11-6 record. The financial reality of such a trade is complex. The Chiefs currently sit with approximately $6.7 million in effective cap space, meaning an acquisition would require even more creative accounting from general manager Veach. I know what you're thinking. We only have $6.7 million in cap space. However, the team has proven adept at using restructures to manage star-heavy rosters. The Giants want a king's ransom. It might cost us pick 29 and a future asset. The Chiefs enter the draft with 9 total picks, giving them the ammunition needed to outbid other interested parties like the Packers or Bears. With Mahomes at 30 and Kelce at 36, we don't have time to develop talent. The focus is squarely on win. Now moves that can maximize the remaining years of the current core. We need a win-now wrecking ball. The 2025 season served as a harsh wake-up call for Kansas City. Before we talk about the dream, we have to address the nightmare we just lived through, the team's 21st. Ranked offense struggled with identity throughout the year, hampered by Rashee Rice's early season suspension and inconsistent play from the receiving core. For the first time since 2014, the Kansas City Chiefs missed the playoffs. Even Mahomes, typically the ultimate equalizer, found it difficult to overcome the lack of a consistent alpha wide receiver and a porous offensive line. Patrick Mahomes is 30 years old and coming off a brutal ACL and LCL tear. His recovery is the most critical storyline of the offseason. While Mahomes has posted videos of himself performing light throwing drills just 3 months after surgery, head coach Andy Reid has remained cautious, stating at the annual league meetings in March 2026 that it is difficult to determine if the quarterback is ahead of schedule. If Lawrence were to join the Chiefs, he would provide a defensive foundation that allows for a more conservative offensive approach if Mahomes is not at 100% by week 1. This is the Veach Chiefs warning the rest of the league is terrified of. Rival teams in the AFC, such as the Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, and Houston Texans, have spent the last several months planning for a post-Chiefs era. The Ravens, the Bills, the Texans. They've all been celebrating our downfall. A move for Lawrence would immediately disrupt those plans, signaling that Kansas City has no intention of a slow rebuild. If KC lands Lawrence, the AFC West goes back to being our playground. The Giants' decision to potentially move Lawrence stems from their own roster instability. General Manager Joe Schoen and new head coach Harbaugh are reportedly looking for a fresh start for the franchise, which finished 4-13 last season. Enter Dexter Lawrence, the Giants' All-Pro, defensive tackle, wants out. While other teams may offer more draft capital, the Chiefs offer Lawrence the chance to play for a championship immediately. Why does this matter to us? Look at our defense last year. The unit kept the team competitive in many games where the offense sputtered, and adding a player who has earned 3 Pro Bowl nods since 2022 would solidify them as a top 3 defense in the league. Imagine a world where Steve Spagnuolo, the master of the interior blitz, has Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence standing side by side. The logistics of the trade must be finalized before the draft clock starts. I want to hear from you. Chiefs Kingdom. The draft is the 20th of April. The urgency of the situation cannot be overstated. The clock is ticking. Do you give up a first-round pick to bring Dexter Lawrence to Kansas City, or do you trust the rookies to save Mahomes' legacy? Every day without a move is a day that a competitor could swoop in and secure Lawrence's services. We are locked in until draft night. The team's recent restructuring of Mahomes' contract freed up $43.56 million, but much of that has already been eaten up by the rookie pool and previous obligations. This is a high-stakes moment for the Chiefs. To beat your competitors, your script needs to lean into the urgency of the 20th of April draft deadline and the shocker of the Chiefs missing the playoffs for the first time in a decade. The 2026 offseason is defined by a redemption blueprint. Here is a comprehensive, high-energy new script tailored for your YouTube channel. The potential addition of Lawrence is the centerpiece of that blueprint. Host hook, focus on the championship window closing versus blowing it wide open. For a decade, the Chiefs were the team to beat. After 1 year in the cellar of the AFC West, the front office is under immense pressure to prove that the dynasty is not over. Dexter Lawrence would give you the interior terror that can flip a whole postseason game with 2 or 3 dominant snaps. The combination of Mahomes' legendary arm, Kelce's veteran savvy, and a defensive line that features 2 of the best interior players of this generation is the stuff of nightmares for the rest of the NFL. If a move like Dexter Lawrence to Kansas City ever even became remotely possible, the rest of the AFC should be sweating immediately. The next 13 days will determine the future of the franchise for years to come.